So yesterday we started speaking about Psalm 105. I don't know how many of you remember, but today we're going to move forward to another verse. I know yesterday we kind of settled on verse 19, and we were talking about the word and how God confirms and tests your readiness for the word that was spoken over your life. Today, we're going to be talking about verse 26. And verse 26 of Psalm 105, and it reads, He sent Moses, his servant, and Aaron, whom he had chosen. Now, the one thing that I want to remind you is that Psalm 105 is a retelling of what happened in Egypt, and we're seeing the whole account of this. But the reason why we're settling on verse 26 of Psalm 105 is because we have to understand that there is a distinction between a servant and a chosen. Now, we know that we dwell on the fact that we're chosen, but I want to tell you today that being chosen in and of itself is not the goal. When you think about the word chosen, the word that we're looking at is the word bahar. And this word is basically talking about one elected or one decided for, not against. It means that God looked upon you and your responses and your character, your personality, your everything that makes you you has been decided that it is good enough to carry out the assignment of God. So basically, you qualify. It means that your character and your dispositions is of such that God can trust you with his assignment and with his work in the earth. Now, being chosen is great, but being chosen is not the goal. We want to remember that in verse 26 that we're looking over, being chosen has a distinction between the servant, Moses the servant, Aaron the chosen. I want to remind you that having all the makings of a good vessel does not mean that you are a servant. The goal is to be a servant. Now, why is this important? Because I want to remind you that Aaron was the one who God led up on the mountain and told him to strip his clothes off and put it on his son Eleazar. Aaron is one that is seen as self reliant. So even though he was chosen, he remained in that posture of self reliance. And what happened is that he was replaced by his son, whose name is Eleazar, which means God is my help. Now, I don't want you to miss it. Aaron was a self sufficient chosen vessel, and Eleazar was one with a posture that God alone can help him. Why is this important? Because in order for you to make the transition from a chosen vessel to a servant, you have to break down self reliance. You have to come into the place where you are allowing God to do it for you and do it through you and trusting Him to do both. Now, a servant is one who is essentially dead. It is one who is saying, not your will, not my will, but your will be done. It is someone who understands that it is in the laying down of themselves that they're able to have the fullness of relationship with God. So if you have been chosen, congratulations. God has said that you have the potential to do great things for Him. But these things cannot be done unless you lay yourself down for Him. We saw that Christ told us that He is the way, the truth, and the life. The way we know, He's telling us, and the way is in surrender. It is in total surrender. So when we have believers that are stuck on their ways and their preferences, stuck in what makes them comfortable. The comfortable Christian is a Christian who is not a servant, a Christian who is not willing to be uncomfortable for God's whole glory and God's whole purposes to be fulfilled. What we're looking at is someone who is a mountain, someone who is an Aaron, someone who is chosen but will not allow the full expression of God in their lives because we have those preferences. And of course, you're thinking of a lot of reasons why you would want to hold fast to the things that you would want to hold fast to. So let's say that going back to the most common example, you were hurt in a particular place and God sends you there, but you cannot go back because you don't feel right or you have to protect you. Whenever safety depends on us, we are not being servants. We have to remember the only distinction between the chosen vessel and the servant is surrender. So today, as you go about your day, remember, being chosen is good, but we should not die being chosen. Aaron died in his chosen state, but he never made it over to be a servant. Notice the distinction is all over the place when you read God's word. He makes a distinction between the chosen and the servant. And it is very important for us to make the transition over to being a servant. Choose today what you need to lay down and surrender for God's glory. Choose today what you will be. If you will be a vessel that is laid down and fully available for God, or it is that you will be self sufficient in your own strength. Whatever it looks like today, I am asking you to take a honest assessment of yourself. And even in your chosen state, even in that thing we wear as a badge of honor, know that it is in being a servant of the Lord where we are the safest. God bless you. Don't forget, read the rest of Psalm 105 and be blessed. Comment below whatever it is that stood out to you, and we may do it in the next video. Bye.